Welcome back, Fisters, to another episode of the Middle Easy Fight Fist podcast.
You all get kisses, baby.
That's the noisiest intro. I am always is your host, the Necklace and Reckless Dan Lamort, joined by my co-hosts Papa Luke Tuma
What's up, everybody?
and the always horny Diego Lopez.
Hi, someone kiss me. Hello.
We're at our new location,
Our
at,
new we're at
Karma Lounge.
Karma Lounge Studios, 51 First Ave in the East Village in New York City. Best hookah in town.
Yeah, I
Best
wasn't
hookah.
sold because it's a hookah bar, but then I remembered it's a bar, so now I have
Yeah,
now I have a whiskey with me.
You have a drink.
while doing the pod.
That does change the dynamic of the podcast now that it is.
Dan just start cursing and
Yeah, I
trying
mean,
to
the
hit us.
dynamic is the same, and I still have to drive home, but now there's just more liquor involved.
You just hang out here for a couple hours.
Oh, man.
And as always, I got to give a shout out to all our new listeners who are jumping on the Fight Fish train right now. We
love you so
appreciate
yeah,
much.
thank you guys so much, man. It's been great.
It was a
support.
very active weekend for us in Atlantic City, our first weekend as credentialed press.
Hey, round of
Finally.
applause for us.
Yay.
Yeah. And to
Thank you
say
guys
the
for
least, the
clapping.
content we put out was received pretty well.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think so.
thank you
I
guys for
gotta-
watching and
I have to
downloading.
give a
liking.
huge shout out to Robin Black.
Robin?
Yeah, he reached out and loved the content.
Oh, what a
and,
sweetheart.
Next time he's in New York, he's going to jump on the pod.
That's great.
And if people don't know who he is, I wasn't too sure of who he was, and I looked up some of his stuff. His fight breakdowns
Yeah, he's
are
great.
amazing.
He's phenomenal.
He's-
he fought, I think, too.
yeah, he was
fought
a
for little
fighter.
while.
It's so easy to tell because he breaks down the fights perfectly.
Yeah, dude. That's why
And,
I always kind of have a hard time listening to people that have never fought talk about fighting to a
Yeah.
degree.
Oh,
And
thank you.
No, like
His own
fans
co-hosts.
based- yes. But like when they break down or they talk about it, I'm like, man, you know what the fuck
You
you're
know, like the
talking
two
about.
guys I do a podcast with.
No, but like we're talking about as fans, but like if you're getting technical, I'm like, I'd rather listen to somebody who knows what like does
Yeah.
this. It's different.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
if
was
I
thinking,
was to break it down, it wouldn't go that well.
I was thinking that we were in Atlantic City. We were interviewing some of the fighters. We'll get around to more vivid descriptions. But when
Yeah.
we were asking questions, you were asking more specific technical questions than anybody else that was there.
Yeah.
You were like, "Oh, did you expect that many level changes?" And you could tell like the other like guys you were next to. It's like these guys don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, I mean,
these guys are incapable of changing.
And then I'm just in the back going, you fucking? You fucking? And then Diego's asking the real questions.
Yeah, Dan was dead set on asking every fighter if they are in fact fucking. Or
I didn't
not.
get to ask any. I got none.
I'm really glad you did because it's our first time working press for the UFC for MiddleEasy.com. It was so
And
much
boy,
fun.
did they make us feel welcome. It was
They-
fantastic.
Dude, they really
really
did.
were.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
We had steak.
I mean, yeah, and
I did not.
MMA Junkie John posted this, but they had a water fountain at the buffet.
they did.
There was
yeah.
a little water fountain
waterfall.
at the buffet. A waterfall.
Waterfall.
Yeah.
Waterfall, yeah, very different.
Yeah. It was a waterfall fountain kind of. It
Were you
was
drinking
it
that
was
water?
mini.
Please don't tell me you were drinking that. You're like
Yeah,
leaning
I was like,
into
is this
it.
where we get our waters from?
Oh,
No,
I
they-
gotta go.
They treated us well. We got to sit in media row. We were the second row in media row. We were like 20 feet from the ring. It was
crazy.
Oh
unbelievable.
my
Full
God,
Wi-Fi there. We were, uploading videos in real time.
Relatively
Tinder
good
like
Wi-Fi.
crazy.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the UFC PR lady walks by and just on Tinder getting no swipes.
Yeah, we were sitting in media row buying bombs on the Silk Road, and it was really
So fun, man.
yeah, it was a great time. Man.
Very loud.
It was very loud. It was a pretty
Unbelievable.
small arena for what they usually do.
Yeah.
It was at the Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, which Atlantic City, what a treasure. What a nightmare of human beings. But
It truly is the Hulk Hogan of places.
yeah,
It was
I mean,
nice to see the crowd just be so well behaved.
I think there was about 6 or 7 fist fights
At
in
least
the crowd.
6.
Brawls too, like 10 on 10. Some
Yeah,
of them.
the video I posted
One
got
woman
like,
versus man.
yeah, the video I posted got like 25,000 views.
Yeah, if
And,
not
like,
more.
Yeah, it was
Middle
crazy.
East
Twitter.
posted a whole article based around that video.
It was nuts, and it was just funny to see Atlantic City just live to its potential. I'm
Yeah,
like,
and
hell
what I saw was that the UFC not only utilizes the Boardwalk Hall security, but they have their own security. It seemed like,
Yeah.
who would just hop into the stands the second they saw something.
Yeah.
It was-
There was a fight right behind me and Diego,
Mm-hmm.
and they jumped right out and just pulled the guy away.
I mean, I think they assume things.
It
were
was
gonna
so
happen.
beautiful. There were fist fights in the crowd. We were in Jersey. There were like 6 or 7 fist fights in the crowd, and then Jay Wow from the Jersey Shore walks by us
Yeah.
with a giant
With her
fake
boyfriend,
fist, and her
who's also massive.
who's a monster of a
Yeah.
human being.
Yeah.
He looks like Brock Lesnar. He's massive.
Same guy that from the show. I can't remember what his name is. I watched every
What's
episode
it?
of Jersey Shore.
We're not going to spend time on
Yeah,
this.
let's not waste too much time on it. But like,
It'll come to us.
I mean, I think if I wasn't with you guys there, and I didn't get to see it,
You were
I would be
fucking-
curious. Like, how did this happen? how did we get to be there? I think that's going to be the first thing.
We're still been asking ourselves
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Because I think a lot of people were like,
To the fans
people
of-
I know personally, like my friend Eric, who I love to death. Hi, Eric. I think he listens. He knows how much I loved Middle Easy when it started and how he's been a fan for a long time. It's like all of a
Yeah.
sudden we're doing a podcast for them and then all of a sudden we're at the UFC for them, you know?
Well, I will say this. I mean, obviously, your guys' work has been huge, but I have this weird knack for weaseling my way into situations.
You really do. It's a really
And,
good skill you
yeah,
have.
I mean, if I tell myself I'm going to do something, there's an 100% chance it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It just luckily it's been very quickly. And this one was the whole backstory is I used to write articles for Middle Easy.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a personal article called "Fat to Fit to Fighter," which started and ended at fat. And then we remained in a relation. We talked for a little bit, and I never amounted to anything. And then I just went to them and said, "Hey, you guys don't have a podcast. Let's try to get more traffic to the site." Then that was it. And I mean, I know they're doing renovations, but all on the website. But our traffic, it pushed a lot of traffic to the site that I think
Yeah.
it might have caused it to crash.
Oh, wow. Good
yeah,
for
it's
us.
still down the site.
Really?
Yeah,
Hell
but I think
yeah.
they're
Yeah, that's
doing
right.
a rebranding.
That's great. That's great.
I think
Go ahead.
I think a huge thing was the fighter interviews we had, the fact that they were done professionally. I think we did a good job. I think we got good content from the fighters, and that we were getting those interviews that early on in the podcast. And I think just the fact that we're young, the fresh voices, we're all 23 years old, all three of us, and young, fresh perspective. It's something new. I
Horny.
think it's a new direction. It's not, is necessarily like an old guy in his basement talking about MMA. It's just different. Young comics
Yeah.
in New York City who have an MMA podcast and are able to get pro fighters on within the first
I really
few
do
months.
feel like it's a new Middle Easy. Middle Easy was always a comedy MMA website, and I think this is the new voice of Middle Easy. We're really trying to give that, because Zeus did such a good job building the brand.
Absolutely.
And we're trying to get back to the level he was at. If we could get our logo back in the octagon, that would be fantastic.
Oh man, that'd be so sick. And I think so we the three of us were able to go to Atlantic City on Thursday, which
Yes.
was like a media day where all the press is in a room and they'll just bring the fighters one by one to have a little interview. We were able to go to that day. I think for our first
Well,
time.
Let's talk about that first of all.
Yeah.
So they bring them in every 15 minutes for a 2-hour stretch of time. Each fighter that wants to be interviewed for media day, so they'll pick like 8 fighters over the
Into
2
a room
hours
that is
every
200
15
degrees.
minutes. Yeah, into a tiny
Very hot.
conference room where we and all the rest of the media people are. We're all kind of quietly on our phones, computers, and notebooks, jotting down questions that we have to ask.
Losing
but the three
jackets.
of us didn't know. Yeah, I lost my jacket. My girlfriend got
I
me
stand that
gone.
Media John threw it away as an initiation.
Yeah, you really did. He's fucking
And then
MMA John, Media John.
media John.
Sorry.
It's like, hey, look, it's Microphone John. Just calling him different things.
Media
But we, dude, we got there because the three of us didn't know. We knew we were going to media day on Thursday, and we knew it was going to be a media
I don't think we
scrum.
thought it was going to be that.
We didn't know what
No.
it was,
Yeah.
and we knew the times the fighters were available. We didn't know what that meant. We got there at the first fighter they brought in was at 11:15, and it was Kevin Lee. We got there at we got in the room and settled down at probably like 11:05.
Yes.
And within that 10-minute span, the three of us had to figure out how to participate, what a media scrum even was, number one. Then how to
I
participate
still
in
know
it.
what a scrum is. I'm not certain it's not the undershaft of the scrotum.
Well, I think that's what we did such a good job is as a team we kind of attacked it well.
Well,
and we
dude,
figured it out little by little.
Think about the fact that we had to learn how to be like sports broadcasters in like 9 minutes.
Yeah.
We had to learn how to interview Kevin Lee,
Yeah.
ask compelling questions, participate in the media scrum, pop in at the right time, ask different questions, get the right answers, interact, confidently but not arrogantly with the fighters, and film it the whole time, and then
Yeah.
edit the videos, put them up on Middle Easy's channel, then promote them afterwards. We had to, and we jumped into that on 9 minutes notice because
Yeah.
we had no idea what to expect when we went
Yeah.
into media.
We
day.
had the biggest camera of the whole group.
the camera works great. It's just very funny looking compared to everybody else's.
The
Like,
camera
hold
was
this
great.
giant-
The footage was we got some
great.
fun footage, man.
I think
Yeah, we
the one of the more interesting things is as a person who fought and I watch these media interviews, I always get annoyed that's the same goddamn questions that are boring and annoying to ask. And I kind of wanted to go with it a little bit more newer, just more fresh questions with when you're there, you realize that, like, especially for our first time, I wanted to be taken serious. I didn't want to be too funny too quickly and be like, these fucking guys.
You did get a good pop though from Patrick
I
Cummins.
did get a
That
good
was
little
great.
laugh from everyone in the room. But I think we did such a good job of asking pretty basic questions, but also expanding on them to the point where, like, the questions necessarily weren't getting laughs, but the response the fighters gave us were getting laughs, which I think is so
Well, see,
great.
because that's what we didn't bring it up then, but as a comic, we know how to lay something up for someone to make funny.
Yeah.
So we're able to help these fighters look funny.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sounded too cocky.
No, it's
But
fine.
no,
No,
it's
you're right.
it's a certain skill to
Well-
talk to someone and give them the toss to be funny back to you.
You-
Because at the end of the day, those are the clips that go viral as the fighters being funny.
Dude, and that's how you knew you were doing well is when we would ask a question and then their response to that question would get huge laughs. You're like, I asked a compelling question. We asked
Yeah.
a great question.
You're
That
essentially
got
giving
something
the
interesting.
assist.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So that was great to.
So at the end of the
be
day,
able to do
being
that and figure
media
out how to
is
do that.
making the fighters look good.
Yeah. Did any of the fighters stand like that on Thursday for you guys? Did any of the fighters' behavior or attitude or anything like that stick out to you? Because I
There
was
was
blown
two on
away.
Thursday.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
So one, I think the best person to interview is former guest Aljamain Sterling, who had a great win on Saturday. The way, no matter what the question is, he was able to expand on it. He gave the most long form answers, and he made sure that he was giving stuff that could be used for clips. It was almost as if he knew what this was being used
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
And I just really loved the confidence in how he answered, and also the sincerity. Like,
School's out.
yeah, sorry, there's
That's
a
fine.
sound in the back. And he just knew what, it was like he knew what people would enjoy.
Yeah.
And also, then I loved Ryan LaFleur.
Oh, yeah.
How he came into the room while an interview was going on and proceeded to talk through the person's entire interview and not give two shits about who was being interviewed.
Yeah.
And just did his own thing.
Right.
I think that as far as like looking at the personalities of people we were interviewing, Kevin Lee's a star, man.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
guy is
very
a fucking
charismatic.
star.
I forgot
man.
he's only 25.
I mean, 25. I mean, charismatic at all times. We interviewed him after he beat Edson, and we interviewed him during the weight cut, which, you know, he didn't make weight, but he was clearly having a tough time with the weight cut. At 11 a.m., he was the first person to come in, and he was so charming, charismatic. He was confident. He was giving funny answers, interesting
Eating
answers.
donuts.
He was talking shit about, you know, Nate Diaz and talking shit about Khabib, all these different people, and it was just so interesting to see that guy and to watch him separate from the pack personality-wise.
Absolutely.
And you look at him and you go, this is why Conor is bigger than people that are also stars. This is why, you know, no disrespect to anybody, but this is maybe why Conor McGregor is a bigger star than DJ. Conor McGregor might be a bigger star than Woodley or another amazing fighter. There's plenty of amazing fighters, but that personality, that charm and charisma and confidence, and to have that at all times, to be ready to talk shit at all times or make a joke at all times and just create viral moments every time you're in front of media. I was so impressed by the way Kevin Lee was able to do that. And then, to find out he's 25 years old and that he kind of was able to stand out that much with his personality in a pack of guys that are in their 30s. It was really impressive.
And the way he carried himself in the post-fight interview was great. He came in with the scarf on. He was the last guy we interviewed.
We interviewed
And,
him at what? 1 a.m.?
yeah,
Yeah,
or maybe
probably
later,
even later,
2
probably
a.m.
Yeah.
close to 2 in the morning.
Man, that was a long
And, you know,
day.
he was still with it, shucking and jiving, got some laughs,
Yeah.
made some call-outs.
Didn't feel like trying to rush us to end our questions. Like he was really giving answers.
Also, he didn't feel which I appreciated, which I think this is where Colby Covington comes up a bit short, is that Kevin never seemed to be trying to play the heel. He wasn't playing a character. He wasn't trying to make himself, I'm the villain, I'm the bad guy, I'm the shit talker.
Yeah.
He seemed like he wanted to be entertaining, but he was also keeping enough of himself in it where he was always felt genuine. He just
Yeah.
felt genuine and
Yeah.
charismatic and honest.
Nothing about it seemed
and
fake.
entertaining. You know, he wasn't playing an act. It was interesting to see him separate himself from the rest of these fighters. A lot of these guys who have been in the UFC for, you know, some of them a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to watch him,
And then
kinda
he went
stand
out and
like
put
that.
on a fucking show. I
Great
mean,
fight. Really
he
great
was
fight.
probably this, for me, that was the standout performance of the night.
Yeah.
I mean, he really looked like Khabib.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, that was so interesting throughout. It used to be at MMA events, McGregor was the name you always heard.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of Khabib talk in Atlantic City Thursday and Saturday was crazy. Almost every fighter brought up Khabib in some aspect.
Absolutely.
Whether it was a call out or complimentary.
A lot of who would you want to fight next? Khabib was like the
Exactly.
first name out of their mouth.
And there's so much hype around him right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost love that he's not a personality like Conor.
Yeah.
there's not much behind that
He's
about
pretty
the
good
man
at
of Khabib.
like in those calls. He's pretty
Oh,
good at like
it's
shit talking
fantastic.
silly, but
Yeah.
it's a different kind of.
And
charisma.
I was really blown away at how much talk there was of him at the event.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
there
mean,
was a ton.
He was nowhere near Atlantic City yet. Everyone talked about him.
Absolutely. You know what else was interesting is that two things. Besides, they were talking about Khabib a ton, but then on top of that, they were not talking about the prospects of fighting Conor much. It's almost like they've all kind of given, all the lightweights have kind of given up on that idea
Yeah.
that they're going to fight Conor. And then on top of that, they would bring up, a lot of times we weren't even the ones bringing it up initially. Eddie Alvarez and Kevin Lee both brought up Nate Diaz, and we're talking about Nate and wanting to fight Nate. And that was interesting. Eddie Alvarez was one of the featured fighters. He wasn't on the card, but they brought him in to talk to the media. And it was interesting to hear fighters bring up Nate as if he's the new money fight. It's almost like Conor's reached a stratosphere that's kind of untouchable, and he's in a place where he's just going to always choose the money fights and choose what he wants to do at all times, maybe another boxing match. He's kind of got free reign over how he wants to live his life and how he wants to fight. But as far as guys that they still think they have a chance of fighting, they're looking at Nate Diaz like he's the money fighter.
Yeah.
So-
Diaz bros are money fights, man.
Yeah,
And
man. So
there
it's
was
kinda
rumors this week about Nick coming back.
Yeah, against
Nick versus Bisping.
Bisping is what
Yeah,
they
that
were
was
thinking.
that's a weird rumor.
It
that
has
someone-
been confirmed,
It wasn't confirmed.
but-
No, Bisping said it not
Yeah.
true at all.
What a fight that would be.
Yeah.
though.
So the fight night, so for us, started very early.
Yeah.
I mean, Luke picked me up at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Didn't get home till I didn't lay down in my bed until 6 a.m.
Yeah, I didn't lay down.
So-
To
till
be honest,
5:30
I
or
thought
so.
you guys were going to crash and die.
Oh, cool.
So I'm happy we're here doing another episode.
I'm sure all the fans are excited.
Yeah.
Such a long day, but it was so exciting.
Amazing, man. It's so
Literally,
amazing.
if you count the second we started doing work, it was probably 6 at night to we finished up about 2:45 in the
Yeah,
morning.
yeah.
By the time we got everything posted.
Yeah, and,
even then, we didn't even
left.
get everything
yeah,
posted.
The Kevin Lee interview, we were like, we got to go, man.
Yeah,
I'm-
the
we're
Wi-Fi
exhausted.
shat out on us at the end.
Yeah, it was a long video too, but it's like just for the people that like, because I fought.
New level of respect for MMA media.
Exactly.
It's nonstop.
It's nonstop. There's so much to do. Luckily, we're a team of 3. We kind of split up the work, and I think we each fucking knocked out of the park.
It was great,
Yeah.
man.
We had Dan did a great job
Social
running
media guru.
Yeah, you crushed the Middle Easy Twitter account. You really did.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
You're quiet for a second. I'd look at my Twitter and be like, "There's 3 fucking great jokes here." I didn't notice you even tweeted. Luke was doing a phenomenal job running back and forth, both writing questions while the fights was happening,
Yeah.
asking questions in the back, bringing the memory card to me, and I would just edit the videos and put them up from there. I feel like I had the easiest job, but
No,
Oh man, you were
editing
editing the videos and putting them online in real time, and it was almost in like this rat race with the rest of the
Yeah.
MMA
Yeah,
media
and the
people that were
craziest
there.
thing is that people at home, because there's commercials and whatnot, they don't realize the second the loser or the winner leaves the octagon, once that octagon's clear, the next fighter, they do the little package on the big screen and they come out.
It's pretty tight.
So we're essentially doing, so I'm doing the tweets about the fight and the event. We're doing the editing, the questioning, all while, so we're posting the stuff from the last fight, all while the next fight's going on.
Yeah.
You're covering 2 things at the same time.
Yeah. And it's not
One
even
in
like-
the past and one in the present.
And for you, it wasn't even like just posting tweets of what's happening in the fight. You're posting tweets of what's happening with a joke. And it's
Yeah.
like it's so much harder than
Yeah, and
the
not only-
factual MMA
Dude,
world.
and you weren't only doing it about what was going on in the ring; it was also what was going on in the crowd.
yeah,
Which was
because
interesting. It was like
Such a
you
fucking
were really kind of
weird-
putting people in a funny way, putting people in the building. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
they
yeah,
follow
which
us
is
on
again,
Twitter.
that's what Middle Easy used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be this. I mean, it still is. But
it is, but we're trying to get the
No.
shine back.
Yeah.
I
was
love
fun.
adding the humor to it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what attracted me to it as someone
Yeah.
who's funny and liked fighting.
Because
Yeah.
there's so many people out there who know fighting.
Yeah.
But the people who can make jokes on the spot about it, if you could do that, you got to capitalize on
Yeah.
it. And the play we got on social media from all of our work, the videos, the tweets, I mean, so many respected fighters and MMA personalities. Bloody Elbow was retweeting some of the shit.
Yeah, man.
We had a bunch of current UFC fighters loving the tweets. I mean, it was really so fun to see. It was like comedy in a sense where we got to see the immediate reaction.
Yeah,
Right.
One of the interviews I did with Eddie Alvarez, I asked him about fighting Khabib, and he compared himself versus Khabib to Rocky Ivan Drago in Rocky
love
4.
that, yeah.
And Eddie retweeted that video, and he favorited it and stuff. And it was cool to see that, like, oh man, this guy enjoyed the conversation. He enjoyed talking to me in the media scrum. It was
My
cool.
favorite was Corey Anderson retweeting the video of him saying "fuck Patrick Cummins." He gave no. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna retweet this one."
He leaned into that too. That wasn't even off of too much of a question. Nobody
Yeah.
really asked a provocative question. He really wanted to say
Pat
that.
Cummings, during the medium scrum, I'm like, I love this guy. I
Yeah.
thought he was so cool, down to earth, charismatic.
He was cool.
Um,
he
Yeah,
made
he
me
was,
touch
man.
my mustache so many
Yeah,
times.
like I'm like I would hang out with Pat Cummings. I
Yeah,
think we would do
totally.
well. And then he
I would
walked
hang out
out
with any fighter.
It's true. But then he walked out to this song "Oblivion" by Grimes, which is a very poppy. It's a girl singing. It's a very like.
It was my favorite walkout song of the night.
It's one of the hardest fucking walkout song I've ever heard, and I was like, even though he's fighting a friend in
Yeah.
Corey, I was like, I love this walkout.
Yeah, and then Corey
dude,
impressed.
There was that guy I was sitting next to who was from one of the New Jersey sports media outlets. He was, this guy, I can't remember his name or where he worked for, but he's really cool. He's
I
one
hope
of
he
the
ran that radio
credentialed
show
people.
okay.
He leaned over to me at one point, and Corey was just beating the shit out of Pat, and Pat would not go down. He wasn't giving up, and he kept pushing, and he was just getting, smashed by
Pat
Corey.
earned every dollar that night.
Dude, and this guy leaned over to me and he goes, God, he's a tough son of a bitch, huh? Jesus Christ. And I was like, he really is. Because we were just watching. We're like, I can't believe this guy keeps standing up, keeps coming forward. It was, I mean, obviously Corey was more impressive in getting the win as handily as he did, but it was impressive to see a guy take that beating and keep moving.
But that's kind of the fun thing is that you can be impressed with both the winner and the loser of a fight. And it's just like you can be inspired by both. That's
Oh
fun
my,
to
that
see.
was because you look at Pat, you're like, this is a guy who is 100% deserving of the money he's about to
right.
get.
If not more, so
If not, probably more. Yeah, to take that beating.
Yeah.
And still, he walked out fine, man. Every fighter that night walked out of the ring.
Yeah.
Barboza was a little shaken up.
Yeah.
Because he got mauled.
That was a tough one.
My
Yeah.
favorite my favorite thing was just seeing Kevin Lee's stanky leg in person.
Yeah, that was
I
incredible.
mean, that was the most incredible. Most people fall when their legs go like, even if you're not a fighter.
It's
I mean, when
crazy.
your legs go like, his legs went in directions they weren't supposed to go in.
Yeah, he looked like a glitch in a video game, just like clink, clink, clink.
Yeah.
I
remember
mean,
one time my cousin lit a Daddy Longlegs on fire.
Oh,
And it danced the same way. Just legs going all over.
that makes sense. to me, because I started training in 2009, and that was when Frankie basically became the UFC champion. And he's been we're part of the same team basically, and I've always looked up to him. He's my hero. He's the fighter I looked up to the most.
Yeah.
And like finally getting to sit in the room, be at the fight where he fights.
And that close.
And being in New Jersey and getting to listen to the Biggie song and him
Oh.
sprint up to the cage and
Dude.
hearing how loud that fucking room got when Bruce Buffer announced his name, I will never forget that. Like,
that
I had
was-
chills.
No, so did I. I had goosebumps. When he was,
Goosebumps, yeah.
Dude, it was like people were the crowd was so loud, and there was that Biggie song, kick in the door within the 4-4. And as soon as Frankie got to the cage, he was just stomping his feet. He
Yeah,
was so
he was
pumped. I was like,
stomping.
this is insane. The energy in there was so palpable.
Yeah.
You could feel how much he loved that he was fighting in Jersey, how much he loved being back in the octagon after losing to Brian, and how much that crowd loved
Huge
watching
win.
him like that.
Gotta be honest, though, it was 29-28. Wasn't 30-27. I didn't have that 30-27.
No, 29-20. Yeah.
The 30-27 didn't give Cub enough credit. I mean, Cub wasn't himself, but he still fought a decent fight.
He adjusts his wrestling. He did better.
What I had leaned over to you and said, and then I tweeted was, that was the co-main event of what was a very lengthy card.
Mm-hmm.
And up until that point, I would say, looking at the fighters, Frankie was throwing and moving quicker than anyone up until that point.
Oh yeah, seeing it in real time. I mean, I've seen it a lot. But
Yeah.
in a fight, seeing him go is just so
And
impressive.
to see that the age and the last loss hasn't factored. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he was still quicker than anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say the hardest punches were Willis that night.
Yeah.
I mean, that
yeah,
shit
he's a heavyweight.
landed, it was a
Those are
loud
nuts.
arena.
I felt it in my
Yeah.
bones.
It was a loud arena, and when his rights were landing, everyone heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, how about I got to one of my favorite moments, and the video got a ton of views. Is I got to watch Matt Serra react in
Oh.
real time to David Branch's first round knockout.
Yeah.
And he
That's
was
one of
like,
my favorite
"Is that
videos."
Branch first round knockout?" He's like screaming, and I
called it.
I called it.
Nostradamus. He
No,
didn't
no,
even say
yeah,
it
he's
right.
like, Nostradamus.
He said
He's
it
like-
perfectly. We say it wrong. He says it right.
he it was so funny,
And he goes,
man. And
all right, what do we got, guys?
yeah, and then
so
and
fucking
then I speaking back to the trying to ask interesting questions, and once you develop a rapport, once we had kind of had him in a good mood, and you could tell that Sarah likes to joke around. I asked him if he wanted to do stand up because I had heard that Norton got him on stage, and he just politely said no, but then he's like, stand up, what do I want? And then he's like, and
he did some bits, right?
Well, yeah, he ripped little bits, and then at one point he goes, I don't know, I just want a pizza. He's
Yeah.
like, someone just give me a pizza. Like,
Yeah.
it
So funny.
was great, man. But it was,
I think
When in doubt, request a pizza.
Yeah. The first thing I think we noticed on that Thursday was the hierarchy of who gets to ask questions.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting to see how it trickles down. Like, oh, we can't really step on toes this early, but
Yeah.
I really want to.
It was very clear to
really
see who
wanted
the
to change.
Don of that room was.
Yeah,
Don
yeah.
John.
Don
I mean,
John.
the camera
John.
always goes right in front.
Don
Yeah.
John
That-
Morgan,
yeah.
man.
His camera's front and center, and
Yeah.
he starts every scrum.
Every scrum.
You know, yeah, he does.
There
Yeah.
was one where a different reporter did, and I saw he was like, "All right."
Yeah, he's his camera goes front and center. I would say he probably had the nicest equipment.
Yeah.
He got to ask all his full set of questions first, and then it would move on to the next outlet who then they would get to ask their full set of questions. But
Yeah.
there wasn't
and
really
deservingly
much.
so. I mean, MMA Junkie is a huge
Well,
corporation.
and there wasn't much order besides the fact that he went first, and then the rest of us
Right.
would kind of
Yeah.
do the actual scrum to see who goes next.
And
But
it's funny because we weren't told that, but we felt right away that he was asking first.
and we had to figure out how to learn the art of confidently popping in when you wanted to ask your question, so someone didn't get to ask the question before you asked it. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's the other thing. He gets to go first. That means he gets first
gets
crack
first
at
crack
all
on
the
it.
questions we all want to ask. If Kevin Lee got almost knocked out with that spinning back kick, he gets to ask, how did that kick feel? What were you thinking in that moment? What was going through your head? He gets to ask, you saw up close what happened with the cut on Edson's face. Did you notice it was that bad? Did you think it was going to get stopped? So after
In
that,
his defense, we still do get to post all of it,
no,
which
totally.
is good.
No, totally. But you want to be the person that.
Oh, yeah, you
that
wanna be the
asks
voice.
the compelling questions, because you do want to establish yourself as a legitimate presence
Yeah,
there.
you wanna
So
know
what's
it's-
interesting then is that if he asks all the questions that we all really wanted to ask, then this is where kind of being good at stand-up comes into play. You have to almost think on the fly in the next 20 to 30 seconds, what are interesting questions I can ask now that he's taken my first 4?
Exactly.
I only wrote down 6. He took my first 4. So I need 3 or 4 more that I want to ask this fighter.
Yeah.
What can I think of? And your brain starts going, you got to be kind of crisp in that moment.
Yeah, it's kind of like being on stage and the waitress drops a drink. You got to adjust on the fly.
You're riffing, man. You
Yeah.
really are. It was interesting to kind of see the way doing stand-up helped me and us stay on our feet in that setting.
Yeah, even when we were getting tired because it's a fucking long night.
Yeah, the tiredness didn't set in for me until the adrenaline of being at the event was gone.
Yeah.
because
I'll agree.
I got to be honest. The coolest part is when you walk out and like you could see everyone's looking at you.
Yeah.
And like in the back, I know they're all like, "Is that Action Bronson?" And like, they're like, wow, he's got good seats today.
I do want to say that John Morgan from MMA Junkie, as he really alphaed the situation there, and you can kind of tell
Very
he was the
helpful,
one
though.
with the most. And besides being helpful, I was mirroring what he was doing all of Saturday night during the fights.
Yeah.
Because I could tell he was the most credentialed, he was the most experienced, or at least he was the most accomplished of the journalists there. And I was like, clearly this guy's doing something right. So I want to learn how to do what he does well myself.
Yeah.
And
He's Yoda.
Yeah, man. And I was really watching him do each thing. And there was one moment when we were talking to Eddie, and it ended on some big laughs. And he kind of gave me a nod, and he looked at me. He's like, "That was funny." He's like, "That was good." And I was like, "Oh, this is cool."
Oh,
Like I'm
nice.
kind of
You got the pat on the back.
Yeah, It's like when you're opening for a headliner, it gives you a little tap on the back and stuff.
See,
like that.
I knew how big he was, but I wasn't quite sure because that weekend after the fights on Sunday, I finally watched the McGregor movie on Netflix, Notorious. And there's only one journalist asking a question in that movie, and it's MMA Junkie John.
Yeah.
He's in the movie asking Conor a question at one of the big pressers. That's the only one that made it in was
Yeah.
him. And I think it's because he is that respected.
Yeah, he's just also his voice is so strong.
Oh my!
It sticks
yeah.
out even against comics. Like he just projects so well.
It's a voice that's so loud that you can't tell if he's trying to do it or not.
Right. I mean, I think when we were in the back, and it was him and a couple other guys, like he was still speaking at that tone. I think it's
Yeah.
just turned on when he's there, but
Yeah.
it really stands out against the other journalists who aren't comics. Like they're pretty like soft spoken and timid, and I'm not gonna say like they were internally that, but how they've sounded was that.
Yeah.
So I didn't. Not to no disrespect, but I didn't take it as seriously as I took when he talked. I
Yeah.
think that's something we could definitely move ahead of the
Well,
pack
Luke's
with.
good at that.
Yeah, Luke's great at that.
I mean,
Um,
as everyone, any sound engineer who's ever edited this podcast knows that Luke has the loudest and softest voice at the same time. I'd also like to point out that getting a mixed drink with ice in it has been a dilemma recording this podcast. The amount of times I've spit the ice back into the cup because I realized I can't chew it.
Oh, right.
It's been
Duh.
every time I'm like, I just spit it off to the side.
Yeah, but it was great. And shout out to Nabi from
UFC.
UFC's PR person. She's amazing. She
So
helped us
nice,
out so
so
much. She
cool.
was so nice to
Yeah.
us.
They never made you feel like you couldn't ask a question.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
And there was another woman, I'm not sure what her name was, but she was from another outlet. She actually helped me out a couple of times. There was one point when I was talking to CR after he knocked out Luan Chagas, and I had some questions for him that ended up being what I think was our best interview we got. I was really happy
Yeah.
because he told some really interesting anecdotes about what it's like to be in the gym with him.
Yeah.
But when I started to ask my questions, his manager tried to pull him away and was like, "Wow, come on, we're done here." And she was like, "He'll be done in just a second. Let him ask his questions. You know, he's just got a few questions." And I was like, "Thank you," because
Oh, that's what that noise was in the video.
yeah, because his manager tried to. I think it was his manager. One of his people tried to kind of yank him away, and whoever the woman was, she was the other woman there besides Nabi on
That's
Fight
great.
Night, and she really helped me out.
That's so useful.
thanks
Yeah,
to
because
her.
we don't
That was
know
great.
what the boundaries are. You know, we don't
Yeah.
know what is allowed or cool, and we don't want to push any buttons yet. We're
Yeah.
so new there. We just want to, make sure that people just take it seriously.
Yeah, that was a fantastic interview with him, though.
Yeah, it came out really
Did you
well.
see someone trolled it today, and
No.
then they ended up apologizing to me?
No, what did they say?
They didn't believe that he knocked out one of his sparring partners with that kick
Mm-hmm.
with pads on. So then I was like, well, we were there and we saw it, and I'm pretty sure that would. And then I was like, would you hold the pads for that kick?
Yeah.
Then he was like, no. I was like, have you ever held pads for someone kicking? He was like, no.
Then yeah.
And then he ended up apologizing. He was just like, I want to see video of it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's the reality now, is that people watch a documentary like Notorious, and they just assume every fighter is taping every minute of their life.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
No.
when he's in the gym doing those kicks, he's not taping them every time.
Well-
He's working.
And interviewing Sayar, one of the best parts about that.
Thank
part,
God
so-
you said his name again, because I could not remember it.
Sorry.
I've been calling him Yasir for weeks.
The best part of about that little anecdote he shared, that he's knocked people out with that same liver kick that he knocked Chagas out with. He's knocked out training partners with that kick while they're wearing chest protectors. What was the best part about that, which I think is like, it's audible in the video, but it was very fun to be a part of it in person, was his training partner was actually with us, basically in the media scrum, and from behind us was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, he's knocked me out." And then CR points at him, he's like, "Yeah, him right there. He'll tell you I knocked him out." And he's like, "Oh yeah, man, a few times." And he looked at us, and we were kind of talking to him, and it was
He held
it was
up
cool.
his dead liver.
Yeah, it was cool. He kind of he confirmed the story, which was a kind of crazy story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
So
also
it was-
tweet at the guy. I was like, his training partner was there and confirmed the story.
Yeah.
You're not going to lie about getting knocked out.
Yeah, why? I mean, also, I think
I get the confusion
The
though, because
term-
that kick on the outside didn't look that powerful. But then you break it down, you're like, oh my God, that probably caused so much internal damage.
yeah, it just feels terrible. It's also, I think we should be calling it a knockdown, you're not gonna get knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
they
it's
did
like-
count it as a knockout though.
Right,
Not
like
even
they-
a TKO. They counted it as an actual knockout.
That's nuts.
He did get one punch in, and I heard later on he felt pretty bad about it.
Yeah, what? It's
But he had
ref's
to,
job.
you
You
know,
have to. The refs. I get
It was
man.
such a delayed knock. He got the kick, and then it was almost like in a movie where Luan looked down like to see if he had been shot.
Yeah.
He kind of looked and then just fell to his knees. It literally looked like a Full Metal Jacket
Yeah.
Vietnam death scene.
Like, oh, I'm shitting out my testicles.
I also, it was a couple more things. It was cool to see because David Branch on the Thursday media day had a bit of a sullen energy. He was
Yeah.
a little more down. It seemed a little more
Depressed.
depressed than the rest of the fighters we talked
he
to.
seemed sad.
Yeah, man. And then he got that first round knockout, and you could see how much emotion he showed. He was just screaming in the
Yeah.
ring after he got that knockout, and you were like, "God, this is a guy who was on a long win streak. He had a loss, and getting a first round knockout like this
Oh
meant
my God,
a lot.
Because
Meant
he's
a
not
lot.
usually a first round knockout guy. He goes the distance a
Yeah.
lot, Branch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was because that was an exciting fight. He won. He got the bonus and he deserved it.
Yeah, that was great.
He deserved the bonus because I think that was going to be a big win for him.
Yeah.
Because he came in from the World Series of Fighting as their champion,
Mm-hmm.
transferred over to the UFC, already highly ranked.
I think the UFC and Dana White does this on purpose. But whenever a champion from another organization comes in, they get a particularly hard couple fights. to begin
Bellator
with.
does the same thing.
Yeah.
Bellator, when the UFC champions go over there, they throw them right into their best fighters.
Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, we got good fighters too. I think it's just a pride thing. I get it.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Wait, Pride's coming back?
yeah, I wish. Like Eddie's first fight was fucking Donald Cerrone. That's not the easiest fight in the world.
Yeah. Eddie was a rare. a rare case though, where I mean, everyone knows the story, but Bellator refused to release him. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then so I think Dana kind of felt for him, but then that's a tough first fight.
Yeah.
But Eddie's a bad. I mean, I noticed that when we posted the Eddie clip on YouTube, he had said that I ducked Dustin. He didn't like the word ducked. He was basically saying that it wasn't the money fight for him.
Yeah.
He got a lot of people on our YouTube channel did not like that, and part of me, I think if he has to fight Dustin, then it makes sense now. Dustin's a big money fight now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean I got where the people are coming from. At the end of the day, it's Eddie Alvarez. The guy's a fucking warrior, man.
Yeah.
He's not ducking anyone.
No.
He's doing what's best for his career. He
He
knows
has
he
like
doesn't have
14 kids. He's got to take care of his
he
14
knows
kids.
he doesn't have too many fights
and,
left.
And that was the point he was making in that when he was on Saturday on Fight Night in the media scrum, he was saying, "Look at my record. Look at my record. Look who I fought. Look at the list of people I fought. I beat RDA for the championship. I fought Cerrone. I fought Connor at MSG.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't duck anyone. I'm not scared of anyone. I fought Dustin.
Mm-hmm.
I beat Gaethje. He's like, that's what he was saying. And so I get that people are upset because now it seems like he's ducking Dustin a bit. It seems like Dustin has said that he offered the fight to Eddie, and Eddie has declined the rematch 5 times. And we want to see those two fight because Dustin's on fire right now. He's killing it. And Eddie's a warrior. We want to watch that fight. And the first one was a war up until it had to be stopped because of the illegal knees. But I also get where people are coming from and that they want to see those two fight. And it's annoying when one guy wants it and the other guy doesn't seem to want it. But on the other end, it's like, it's not like Eddie is some pussy that's dodging fights. This guy has battled with some of the best that have ever fought.
The casual fan, I think, loses sight that this is a business and they do need to make a living. And it's like actors make a lot of money because their career is usually pretty short. It's hard to make a long-term move with it. So it's like, fighting is even shorter. Like you got maybe 15, 25 fights. And then the weirdos have a lot more because they started young. So it's like they got to make the best of what they have.
Totally.
Exactly,
And it's like have some empathy for the guy in that the guy's already, so first of all, he's already fought wars with some of the toughest guys in his division over the course of a long career. He grew up dirt poor in Philly. He's got a few kids now. He's got a wife. He's got a family that he wants to make sure is okay. He's not this gigantic brand like McGregor or GSP or Ronda, one of these people that's just going to make money off their name for the rest of their life. He's not one of those people. So the guy has to take his money where he can get it right now.
Absolutely.
He's his fight career is winding down. He's not necessarily on the way out, but he's definitely in the latter half.
Yeah.
It's like show some empathy and let the guy get some money for once.
Yeah.
If I'm him and I go forward with the Dustin Poirier fight, in the contract, I make it known that Dustin has to shave off his hair.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He has not lost since he's gone from bald to hair.
Beautiful.
And that's got to come off if Eddie fights him.
And if Eddie's not going to fight him, then on from Dustin's side of it, fuck it, give Dustin the next best. Let Dustin fight Tony.
Dude,
Let
the top
Dustin
half
fight for
of
the
that
belt.
division is absurd.
Let Dustin fight Tony. Let Dustin fight for the belt. Let him fight Kevin Lee. That'll be a big
How
money
often
fight.
is it when you have a whole top of a division who has earned the title shot, and some of them might not get it for a year and a half, and now they have to, it's even harder because not only have they earned it, now they have to stay relevant in all of their fights to remain. I mean, all of these guys are now number one contenders, 5 years ago. This division is absurd right now.
Well, the other thing that's insane is think about it, let this put it in perspective is that with how amazing Kevin Lee looked against Barboza on Saturday night, he was ranked 7th at the time of the fight. He'll probably only go up to like 5th right now. I mean, it'll probably be
if the
something.
UFC rankings are terrible.
But it'll probably be something, or maybe even 6th, because it'll probably be something like, Khabib, Connor, Tony. I mean, maybe Poirier, Eddie, Kevin. Kevin might be 6th.
Yeah.
They might put him ahead of either or both of Eddie and Poirier. But it's like for a guy
And
that
Gaethje's
good
still
to
at the
be,
top,
man, for a guy that good to be like the 5th or 6th ranked guy, that shows you how much talent's in that division. It's fucking insane.
Nothing annoys me more than the pound for pound rankings. I don't know if you saw this. They updated the pound for pound rankings, and McGregor went up and Khabib went down. How does that happen?
The fuck?
Khabib lost, so they swapped spots. So McGregor took Khabib's spot, Khabib took McGregor's spot. A guy who hasn't fought in 2 years went up in the pound for pound rankings over a guy who's been active and winning.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Pound for
Yeah,
pound.
that's
Also,
weird.
I mean,
It's just a
it's
stupid-
the most useless
Well, yeah,
ranking. Who
exactly.
gives a shit?
No, it shouldn't matter at all.
I mean, number one is always Mighty Mouse. imagine Mighty Mouse fighting Khabib.
It's just it's just
Yeah.
a weird. It's a weird.
It's a very weird
arbitrary-
ranking. It's kind of just a jerk off kind of ranking. If you're number one, it's fun to say.
Well,
Yeah.
it's always the kind of thing where it's like I've never seen someone go like, all right, pound for pound, who's the best? They never say a heavyweight. It's always like,
Yeah.
because smaller fighters have to be more technical to win. So it's like it's just such a shitty. I don't like it. It's just a
Also, the
stupid
UFC's
idea.
heavyweight division hasn't had like a long-term champ. I don't know.
It's
ever,
just so
right?
hard to have. I mean,
It's been a long time since it's been like Stipe is one of the longest running champs. Of
I think
recent
he is
memory.
now either tied or he is the longest.
Yeah.
I mean,
running
the
champ.
heavier your division, the more dire the consequences, and the
Yeah.
quicker it can be ended.
Yeah, I feel like heavyweights. I was gonna say I feel like heavyweights drop out quicker, but then Bellator's heavyweight Grand Prix tournament proves that heavyweights stay fighting their whole life.
It's
Yeah.
I
nuts.
mean, you got guys from almost 50 years old still fighting.
Yeah,
You
those
know-
fights are coming up. Is it this weekend?
Yeah, Fedor.
Yeah.
Fedor
Fedor.
versus Mir. Oh,
Have you ever
boy.
seen
Just-
Have you ever seen a Fedor interview?
Yeah.
It is so fun. I was watching Ariel Hawani. I was interviewing him, and he had his
Translator.
translator. Yeah, same woman who always translates
Yeah,
for
yeah.
him. She's got fucking guns, man. And he was Ariel, I believe, asked the question. He was like, "This is rare for you. You're not a big believer in sitting down and talking in long form." It was like a 30-minute interview. He goes, "This isn't what you usually do. Why is that?" And then the translator, long thing, translates it to him, and then he just says two words, and she goes back, "Why chat?" That was his
Yeah.
answer. Why chat? I love him because he's just a get to work kind of guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't give two shits
Yeah.
about the outside. Anything besides the fight is not for Fedor.
We should talk about the Marab Ricky Simon finish because that
Yeah,
was
also, let
pretty
me just mention
controversial.
that Frank Mir is fat as shit right now. He
I love
is
how you had to squeeze that.
Yeah.
in.
Oh,
he
let me get
is
an
so
insult in.
they did the side by side stare off, and his tits were almost hitting Fedor.
Yeah, what is he like?
Jesus.
260 something right now?
Yeah, and I mean, it's if that fight sounds funny, just think that the winner gets Chael Sonnen. What a
Oh
world!
my God, it's true.
Yeah,
That's bizarre.
we might
so
see a Frank
weird.
Mir versus Chael Sonnen fight.
That's ridiculous.
It blows my mind.
Kind of makes me sad watching these old guys.
Oh yeah,
fight.
it makes it really. I mean,
Right?
Bellator in
Nothing
general
makes me more sad than Roy Nelson versus Mirko Krokop.
Oh,
yeah.
that's so sad, dude.
I don't know. It's again. It's the idea that these guys don't make that much money, and it's like it's a
At the end of the day,
fucking-
people are
Yeah,
going to tune
man.
into that.
Yeah.
I'm,
And
I'm not going to not watch Frank Mir fight again. It's his Bellator debut.
Yeah, but the fact that these guys are fighting in their 40s is the reason that you should have some empathy for Eddie Alvarez when he
Right.
says he wants to take a
Yeah.
fight that'll make him a little more money.
Well,
you know?
that's why you got guys like Aljamain, for instance, where Aljamain does all this social media stuff. It's because he's developing a brand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so many
man.
of these fighters who are now fighting into their 40s have to because they never developed a brand.
By the way, Aljamain, so it was this amazing moment. So Aljamain won in spectacular fashion, by the way. Congrats to him.
Yeah,
former
barely got his
podcast
interview
guest.
out either because the fight happened.
Yeah, exactly. The fight happened in the stands, and he was calling out Cruz, which I thought was cool that he called out Cruz, and
I
I,
didn't
thought
even
he was
hear it.
good.
I was just staring. I was looking at the
Yeah.
crowd.
Call out.
But then he came back into the media room, and he was going off in the interview wearing the Jamaican flag, and he was,
Did he have the
screaming.
chain
He
on?
had his chains on. He
Yeah.
had his hair in the braids pulled back, and he was talking all this shit. And I was sitting catching up with Al Iaquinta, who was his roommate and his teammate at the time, and Al was talking about the Marab decision, which we can talk about in a minute. Their whole team was a bit upset about that. But then Al was just like kind of talking about Khabib and talking about how he's like getting ready for his, to get back in the ring, and he's kind of healing up. And then there was this funny moment where like, because you realize that like there's still roommates and friends that like they bust each other's balls.
Yeah.
Because Aljamain was like 20, 30 feet away from us, and he was, talking shit, pumping himself up, going, I'm the greatest, I'm the this, kind of Tyson or Muhammad Ali way. And at one point he says something like, I'm the, when you like give yourself nicknames, I don't know what he was meant by this because we weren't listening for the context, but he was like, I'm the human fanny pack. And Al looked over at him like, what the fuck? Like, gave him this look, and he started laughing at him and, like, shook his head like, what is he doing? And then we both started dying laughing. And I was like, this is so funny that they're both, like, well-known killer fighters, but, like, when your buddy says something kind of silly, you're just,
Yeah,
like, you're still going to roll your eyes and, like, be like, what a moron.
He
Like,
woke up the next morning and Al was cooking breakfast at their house. He's like, "What's up, human fanny pack?"
Yeah, what does it even mean?
I don't know, he's like, I'm the human fanny pack. I was like, what
If
is that?
anything, I give Khabib the human fanny pack because he's always on you.
Yeah.
There you go. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he meant by it. I don't know.
I mean, a fanny pack has not been on me since
I was so
11,
inspired by Aljamain's look that I'm going to be him for Halloween next year.
That's
The
fine.
chain.
Minus
Yeah,
blackface.
obviously.
I'm gonna be the fat white Aljamain Sterling.
You think people are still going to be able to tell what the costume is?
I'm Aljamain Copper.
just
No, I'm
gonna
just gonna look
see-
like Jeff Ross at a roast.
Yeah.
They're going to see Dan in nothing but chains. And they're going to go, oh, Aljamain Sterling.
Don't
right?
forget the dreads.
Then they're really going to think you're Action Bronson if you wear giant chains.
There was one roast where Jeff Ross put his hair in braids.
Yeah, I can't remember
with
which one it
James
was.
Franco.
Oh,
it was,
Franco?
Yeah.
it was James Franco.
Oh,
who was in
making
that
fun of
Spring Breakers.
Spring Breakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was great.
The we could talk about the Marab
Ricky Simon.
Oh yeah.
Simon fight. Interesting finish.
Well, how do you
Interesting
say,
fight,
how do you
really.
say the last? I can never get it right with
No,
my
you
list.
try.
Dvalishvilis.
Sure, I don't know.
Yeah, well, he fights for the Longo, Serra,
Yeah.
Weidman. I put all three together
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they're always
yeah.
they cornered him. They fight for the same camp, same team, and it was one of the most interesting things to see live because he was in a guillotine, I believe, and
Mounted guillotine.
mounted guillotine, and he was kicking his legs the entire time.
Well, let's also start by saying that Marab had won the first two previous rounds.
Yeah.
Handily.
Yeah, he won
Yeah.
that fight.
Yeah.
MMA Junkie John somehow got a picture of the card, and he won the fight.
He
went to
was
decision.
he was undeniably
Yeah.
winning up until that point.
Yeah.
So then Ricky Simon gets him and the crowd, by the way, is completely. Marab is a real showman, and the crowd was entirely on Marab's side. They
Yeah.
loved him.
They had those flags in the country.
yeah,
I don't
they
know
loved
about.
him, man. But Ricky Simon got him in a guillotine at about 46 seconds out. 46 seconds left in the round, and gets him in a hard guillotine. And Marab starts bicycle kicking his legs and proceeds to do that for all 46 of those seconds.
Yeah.
and
You know how
he's-
hard that is to do when you're not getting choked out?
dude, right?
To lay on your back and do the bicycle for
Everybody's
a
like,
minute?
workout.
Everybody's
Yeah.
like, I can't believe he's not out. And Dan's
While
like, I
he's
can't believe this
dying.
cardio.
Yeah. I would have passed out just from doing that cardio aspect. But what I don't know if it was true, but I think if you do that for so long, like he did, that was probably 45 seconds before he went out. Even though they say he did not go out, do you think it could be muscle memory that he knew if he was doing that if he went out for a second, his legs would do that anyway since he had just been doing it for
Yes.
45
No,
seconds?
I've been choked out. If when you go out, your body just stops. It doesn't.
See, I've only been
But-
choked by women, so I don't know.
But
the
don't
strength.
you've seen guys get knocked out and still be throwing like air punches on the ground though?
Yeah.
You've seen those videos.
It's not really the same. Getting knocked unconscious and being choked unconscious is different.
It's like when your head comes off, you still are a human for a few seconds.
Yeah, exactly. You're still a person.
Or a chicken, something.
I think it's chicken. But when you get choked out, your body gets completely limp. So there's no muscle memory, kind of like you could trick your body into still moving while you pass out. Your body just gives out. So
Quick heads up, the sound back.
yeah, that noise. It's ice machine, I think. But like that is a smart way to let the ref know that you are still conscious. The fact that it was the last round and the last bell, and he didn't get choked out during the fight. He may, even if he did get choked out after the bell, it's after the bell. That fight is no longer happening. It should go to decision.
yeah, I think it should have gone to decision as
You
well.
were on this that night though. You were on Diego. You were on the side of him being choked out though.
Because I didn't know it was the last round.
Oh, okay.
I thought there was another round because I was in a fight where I choked the guy unconscious and the ref didn't stop it, and then I got what's it called?
No contest.
No contest because of it. And it's like it's the ref's job to stop me. It's not my job to stop me.
Yeah.
And it was his fault, so I won the fight, but I got a no contest out of it, which sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was the last round. Since this is the last round, and you aren't even another round isn't even on the table to fight for, then it should just go to decision.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I do think he went out. I don't think he didn't. Like,
I'm on the side of him going out as well.
He
because
definitely
of-
went out. You watched his. I mean, Ricky Simon said and the ref both confirmed that they looked over. They were both above him, and they looked in his eyes, and his eyes were rolled back in his head. He was out after the bell, and so he was that whole thing about how he never went out. I think that's like silly.
And he twitched. I mean, we were sitting right there. We saw him twitching after the fight.
Yeah, man, he
And
definitely
you could
went
tell
out for
his
at least
body
a
was
few,
spazzing for a little while.
for at least a few seconds. But yeah, that's on the ref then, and that's Merab shouldn't be punished because the ref made the mistake of letting the fight go the distance. If it should have been stopped, then it should have been stopped early.
If it went the
And-
distance, it had to be a decision.
yeah, if the ref thought that maybe this is too dangerous and it's going to be, we got to make this a TKO or submission, whatever you want to call it, then that's fine. But because the ref let it go the distance, you got to let it go to the scorecards. And that's what's fucked up. That's why everybody in that Longo, Sarah Weidman camp is so pissed off. It's because they know how handily he was winning that fight.
Yeah.
Merab would have won that if they let it go to the scorecards, but they let the bell ring, and then post-bell, they called it a TKO.
Yeah.
Absolute confusion for that time being. No
Yeah,
one
we
really
didn't
knew
know
what
what
was
was
happening. Because, to be honest, everyone heard the final bell.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be saved by the bell in the last. I mean, he was fine.
Yeah.
And they...
It is official that the fight is up for appeal.
Yeah.
And Merab and his team did say that regardless, they want that rematch.
Also, two things. One, they were Sarah and Al Iaquinta both when they were back in the media room. Like as soon as I saw Al, and as soon as we started talking to Sarah, I've never met Sarah before that night, but both of them immediately, the first thing they wanted to talk about was the Merab thing. And it was right after, when I saw Al, it was right after Aljamain won. And even Aljamain himself, they were all kind of just fired up about this Merab thing because they love this kid. They said how excited he was to fight all week. They said he's like a kid in Disney World and he was, dressing up with the funny wig and he was draped himself in his country's flag and he was, had these silly antics and that he was just excited to be there. And apparently Merab also got robbed in his first fight. I believe he's 0-2 in the UFC.
Oh, Jesus.
And apparently the first fight was extremely controversial.
Oh.
And so they're pretty pissed about that because it sounds like he's had 2 tough breaks in a row.
That's a bummer. That sucks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because, the fans don't see the time and money that goes into the camp. I mean, these fighters, they're not going home with the money that you see they're making. That's going to pay for the camp. I mean, so it can't be fun losing in such a controversial matter because he did everything he could have possibly done to prove he made it to the end of that fight.
Yeah.
And it was though he did have the little spazzy thing at the end, he was standing relatively quick. He was up on his feet pretty quickly, running around with the wig on. And I do think that the appeal, hopefully they do the right. I mean, in this case, though, could they give him the win or does it just become a no contest?
I think it just becomes a no contest.
Probably
Best
no
case
contest.
scenario is
Yeah.
probably
I'm
no
not
contest. Because, I mean, although the judges did fill out the whole card.
Uh-huh.
So it on the record, it was a win by the judges.
I can't imagine they'd switch it to a win, though.
No, then that would go for another appeal. The appeal would be appealed.
Jesus.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, man, one of the most...
For him, though, a no contest would be the best case scenario, I
Yeah.
guess. And then you do the rematch.
Which I don't even want. I really.
No offense,
Rob won
yeah.
that fight so easily. I really don't.
I don't know if the UFC is going to
me either. I'd
rematch an
rather see him
undercard
fight
fight.
someone-
Yeah, no one gives a shit.
Yeah, I'd rather see him fight someone higher up in the division.
Yeah.
One of the most revealing things about doing this podcast and talking to all these fighters has been how this is not a lucrative job. Like,
No, not at all.
yeah, being a fighter, you don't make a lot of money unless you're the top 1% of fighters.
Yeah, exactly.
It's these guys are not making that much money. And
Not everyone has the luxurious life of doing a podcast in a hookah bar.
yeah, exactly. Not everybody's rolling in it like us, man.
I bought a $6 whiskey, baby.
Yeah.
$6 whiskey.
How
with ice
irresponsible.
cubes.
Be a comedian like us.
No, I mean, we bring it up on almost every podcast, but the life of a fighter and a comic, minus getting hit in the face, is somewhat similar. I mean,
Yeah.
and also, no athletic ability required to be a comic. I mean, that's been proven time and
Not
time
a,
again.
I do both. It's the same thing.
And the other big difference is you need to have courage to be a comic. No.
So people say.
And also, though, like, because I have friends who are still amateur, semi-professional, getting their fighters. I mean, their money for those fights is based on the tickets they sell.
Yeah. It's like a bringer.
You're essentially a bringer, yeah. I mean, I have so many friends who, they're like, oh, I only got 30 people coming.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's still pretty impressive.
Oh yeah.
Hey man, and it's you talk to guys like Al Iaquinta, and it's these guys have jobs outside of being in the MMA, being in MMA, and these are guys not even fighting in a different promotion; they're fighting for the top promotion. And a guy like Al, he's ranked in the lightweight division,
Yeah.
which is one of the most popular divisions of the most popular by far promotion, being the UFC. And the guy still has a real estate job on the side. That shows you how little these guys are making.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like that's why the fans, well, that's why at least I get, and the fighters I think get so upset when calls are made wrong that lose a guy money that he would have won if he got his win bonus and stuff like that. That's what sucks about it, is because these guys aren't making enough money as it is, and when they deserved money and they're not getting it now because of a mistake by the ref, kind of sucks.
I mean, when Triple G and Canelo went to a draw, and Teddy Atlas was announcing the fight, and he was really fucking upset. He was really mad, and he was trying to explain. He's like, "You don't understand. Every time you leave the ring, you left part of yourself in there.
Yeah.
They're not the same person anymore after that kind of a fight." And for these people that have never had the courage to get in there and bang, to take that away from them is just so upsetting.
That was the most upsetting call I'd seen in my whole life.
Yeah,
I
that was
watched that whole
horrible,
fight.
man.
because
That was
I-
horrible.
I am also a boxing fan outside of MMA, and that was horrendous.
Yeah.
On the topic of Al, though, I should mention that they're still going off about the decision that we were just
Oh,
talking
on
about.
Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, Matt Brown just tweeted, "I have no dog in this fight, but this decision downright pisses me off. It's not complicated. He didn't tap. The ref didn't stop it. The bell rang. Fight's over. What the fuck else do you need?"
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. And again, no, he has no affiliation with either of those fighters, and that's just the right thing to do, I guess. MMA Twitter is so interesting because I find it, I love it. It's very funny during fight nights. It's cool because you could talk to your favorite fighters. But it's like some people just say the rudest shit to people that can kill them with their bare hands, and I don't get it. And it's like I wish people were a little nicer to each other on the internet. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that'll never happen. It's the problem with the internet and why people do that on social media is because the threat of violence, you're not facing the threat of violence if you get to do it over the internet.
Yeah.
And you're also you don't get to see the emotional effect that your words have on other people. So if you say some horrible thing about some guy's wife or, his family or whatever awful stuff people say to other people on the internet, you don't see in the guy's face and his body language how that affects him.
Mm-hmm.
You just know that you said it to another human and you got some, anger that's deep inside you about probably
Yeah.
something else off your chest and you threw it on some other person and that makes you feel better for like 2 seconds. It's just awful.
A lot of times I think the trolls forget that just because someone has like a verified account or they have more followers than you, they're not going to see the tweet.
Right.
I mean, there are some tweets that you won't see unless you choose to see them.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the stuff goes directly to the palm of their hand.
Yeah.
So it's like and everyone always says, well, you're in the limelight. You should have thicker skin. Yeah, maybe that's true, but do I deserve someone saying fuck you, fuck your family every day?
Yeah.
No, man. And it's like, unless someone did something that was deliberately awful to you or really treats other people badly, if they're not doing either of those, why do you want to
Exactly.
make someone feel bad? Like,
There is a good chance you are going to make them feel
yeah,
bad.
man, your goal is to like hurt someone for the day, try to make their day worse, like make them feel bad. It's such a lame goal to set out and have.
It
If
also-
we have any dedicated fans of the show, I really hope they just start trolling us after they hear
yeah,
this.
they're gonna be like, "Hey, you fucking pussy."
See me
Your
my
family
brother.
sucks dick.
I'm like, oh, come on.
I'd be like, they do.
I think it's a lot of times people know that they're more likely to get a reaction from someone famous if they say something negative than when they say something positive.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to us, not us, but people that are actually getting hate mail or hate Twitter to only
get some
acknowledge.
hateful
I'm
ones.
sure you do. You're very hateable. To only acknowledge the
Agreed.
nice stuff and be like, thanks for saying that, and then just ignore the negative stuff. If you ignore it long
Yeah.
enough, they're going to stop.
Because truthfully, there are a lot of nice things that come in, and you just have to take those. But those are, you for some reason, as a human, you're just trained to react more to the visceral, negative shit. My favorite interaction that I had to bring up was Al and Tony Ferguson this week on Twitter have been going at each other hard. Tony said Al didn't belong and that he didn't deserve to be stripped. And then Al replied with, "The UFC stripped you because you're a weirdo and Whitaker isn't." And then he says, "I belonged more than you. You tripped on a rope." But then my favorite was random guy comments, "I was wondering when someone was going to correct that," meaning Al's grammar. "Dude trash talks Tony but doesn't know the difference in your or your." And Al goes, "It's Twitter, who cares?"
Jesus Christ.
Al's been having a fun fucking time on Twitter, man.
Oh,
Some
man.
of his tweets have me dying. I mean, him going at Ferguson sets up a great fight between them. I mean, I doubt Ferguson would take a fight with Al.
No, he's not gonna.
But that would be a great fight.
Yeah,
and
man,
I'm
it'd
not
be great.
confident Al doesn't beat Ferguson.
Yeah, I mean, Tony's the heavy.
Al
favorite.
didn't get enough credit for the fight against Khabib. People don't realize, I think, how good Khabib actually is in there. I mean, Al fights that way against another fighter. That's a great fight. I mean, he didn't get enough credit for, especially on that short of notice. I mean, Paul Felder to Khabib is such a wide range of opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
You're going from a guy who's a fighter and also an analyst grooming to be a voice in the UFC to a fucking bear fighter.
Yeah, I
There's
don't
no
think,
comparison.
From talking to Al, dude. From talking to Al, I don't think he gives himself enough credit. Because I immediately when I saw him, it like came out of me like vomit. I was like, dude, congrats on the fight with Khabib. That was incredible. It was phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
And he was just like, what? No, it wasn't. Fucking. And he's kind of like, no. Like he
He
really
will tell
didn't
you
want
he's
to
a great
take that.
real estate agent,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, of course. But
bungalow, if you
I
wanna
kept
check
being
it
like,
out.
no, dude, you did. I was like, dude, you were supposed to fight 3 rounds against Paul Felder.
Yeah.
You ended up fighting 5 against Khabib, going the distance, stuffing like 8 straight of his takedowns. He goes, yeah, thanks, man. I don't know. I'm still like kind of nursing the injuries from the fight and trying to get back in there. And he was like really not self-congratulatory at all, which is, just because he's a fighter and he wants to win no matter who he's facing. But I even just from talking to him, I was like, damn, this guy doesn't realize kind of how impressive it was for him to come in against that tough of an opponent on that short notice and do that good of a job.
Yeah.
It's another similarity of comedy where you're your own biggest critic. I mean, there's so many times I see David Tell come off stage and then just talk about how bad he did when he just had a better set than most comics will have in their entire life.
Yeah.
He'll come off stage after murdering and be like, man, I should have done this differently. That didn't hit. And everyone's just like, dude, that shit, you got like an applause break.
Yeah.
It's and that's why the best people in any business are the ones who are very hard on themselves.
People that hate themselves.
Yeah, the ones who know how to be so hard on themselves where you don't kill yourself.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're still hard on yourself.
Oh, but you still hate
That's the
yourself.
sweet spot. If you could not murder yourself.
Right. Do you want to read some reviews?
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you guys for the reviews, by the way. It
But
really
yeah, keep them
helps.
coming. If you have, I'm talking to you right now. You have you done it? Why not? God damn it! I can see what you're doing right now.
You sound like Billy Mays.
I know
Help
for a
me
fact
out.
there's a lot of people who listen to
OxyClean.
every episode
Yeah.
and don't leave a review. If you do, I mean, listen, we're on iTunes. We're on wherever you're listening to this. And also, newly MMApodcast.com has featured us as one of
Thank
their
you guys,
podcasts on
MMA
their
Podcast,
website.
for-
And the only stipulation was that we have to say MMApodcast.com in every podcast.
But we will, man. I'm done with that. And for real, the 5-star reviews and ratings help us a ton. Help the podcast
People don't
get
realize
out
that helps
there.
so much.
And if you give us 5-star review and ratings, we'll do what we're doing right now, which is read your review and your name out on the podcast.
The first one comes from Skynet Actual, GFOP. I'm
It's
a
definitely
big
a real
deal
person.
and people care what I have to say, and I like this pod. You're welcome. # friend of the pod.
Oh, they put the hashtag on
Hey,
there.
there we
Wow,
go.
wink, wink. Big kiss to you, Skynet Actual. I'll do another one. This one comes from Hector Regs, titled
this
"Another
guy.
Great Podcast." Again, another great podcast for the guys.
This
I will
guy
not-
loves the
I'm still
show.
talking.
Yeah, he really does.
I will not be surprised to see them soon live on TV, which is television. Keep it up, my friends, and happy to be a follower and part of this great project.
We're leaders.
Oh, this is great. What a dream come true.
Thank you, Hector. We love you, buddy.
And then we had GCUE_made, who was actually the winner of the
Oh, the contest?
contest, the memorabilia giveaway every fight.
My dirty underwear. That's what they
Yeah,
win, right?
you could tell he really put a lot of thought into this by going, great content, entertaining and unbiased. Keep up the great work. Definitely not a listener and just in it for the prizes.
Oh, what a trooper.
Did we ever read the one from Dirty Handshake?
I don't think so.
No.
The title is What Even Was That? It's a 5-star review. The title, What Even Was That? And the body says, and why am I going to come back for more? This makes no sense.
Well, God bless you, dirty handshake.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Dirty
I mean,
Handshake.
5-star
Clean
review,
up.
but clearly, get your shit together, Dirty
dude.
Handshake. Why are you still listening?
Why are you still dirty?
Yeah. You know how easy it is to give a clean handshake? A little Purell. Hey, what's the deal?
What's that? Let me try
yeah,
to kill
I mean,
myself.
Also, we're discussing possibly in November doing a live podcast, which would be fantastic.
That would be unbelievable.
So
man.
great.
So if all of our listeners in New Zealand
Take a quick
and
trip.
Japan and
And
the
Kenya.
UK could and Kenya.
Kenya,
Yeah,
we
if-
love you guys, Kenya.
We love you, Kenya.
do.
Not too sure about where you live. I'm very unclear on what it's like there, but I'm glad you're still listening.
But yeah, maybe live podcast in November during the MSG fight. is
No
what we're thinking.
location. I mean, definitely not here, but
Yeah.
no location.
Just keep an ear out. Is
Yeah,
all
we're
saying.
gonna do a live
Sure.
podcast in former sound engineer Austin's dorm room.
Yeah, you're all
at
invited.
NYU, in which we
And-
brought drugs and fireworks.
And you also you also might be seeing us at another UFC event as on-camera official credentialed UFC press again.
Wow.
Which would be a
I'm so
big
proud
deal.
of
So
us.
thank you to the UFC and
I'm
Navi
the new
for
commentator
setting
for
that up
Pride,
already.
so-
I'm
Yeah.
gonna officiate Dana White's next wedding. I can't wait. It's gonna be so sick.
Has he had multiple?
I don't know. I assume he has. I just assume everyone with enough money has had multiple.
Yeah,
So,
we're going to be
what-
recording a podcast live from a rec league soccer game if you guys want to go.
I did just join the hockey leagues, which I'm very excited about because I don't have enough physical things going on in my life.
Yeah. Where's the hockey league?
It's in over by the water in Brooklyn somewhere.
Over by the water.
Yeah, you know, like where you could see like.
Can that be the podcast title? Over by the water. That's a great title.
You got it. Over by
we
the
got
water.
we got to make.
We got to come up with a
Hashtag.
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 Hashtag chewing ice.
Waterfall.
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 Yeah, hashtag waterfall.
Hashtag waterfall.
Waterfall.
If you've listened to this point in the podcast,
I'm
tweet it
so
at
excited for
all
you
of
to
us
listen.
at Luke Tuma at Dan.
Like I
Lamort,
said, the
at-
always horny Diego. He is touching himself at the
Oh.
thought
Yeah,
of you
he is.
hashtagging waterfall.
Holy-
At this Diego Lopez. There's a lot of Diego.
He's not
Lopezes.
actually
Yeah, but it's
touching
this
himself, but he
Diego
is
Lopez.
he is weirdly massaging the mic cord. So he is doing something sexual.
Oh, I can't help it. Thank you
Hashtag
so much, guys.
waterfall.
Thanks
Thanks,
for listening.
Middle Have a
Fight
good night.
Fist Pod on Twitter.
Oh yeah, at Feist is Spot on Twitter.
Thank you guys so much. We love you.
Bye.